Hello everyone, this is Diane. The main focus of this video today is going to be how I add a spine to book covers, vintage book covers. I know I've shown that before, but a couple people wanted me to show it, and I have to do it for this journal anyway, so I'm just going to do it on camera. But before I get doing that, I wanted to just quickly show you the supplies I have to make Raggedy Ann journals. So I have this old book, Raggedy Ann Stories. It is in very rough condition, so I thought this would be a good one to use to show you how to not just put the spine on it, make a new spine and cover the spine and everything, but also what to do about a cover that is in this kind of condition. So that's what we're going to do in this video. And so this is one of the supplies. I have book covers. It could be this one. I have two golden books that I could use. I think I will make two Raggedy Ann journals. So I have 3 cover possibilities, but I also have this one, which I made for a previous project, and the pages didn't fit in it. So I don't know if I'll use it or not because it's very tall, but if I cut my scrapbook paper tall enough, but the spine is also pretty wide. So I don't know. I just don't know if it's going to work. But I think the colors would be great for a Raggedy Ann journal. So it is a possibility. But I might just use this and maybe this one. Or that one. And I have this. I just got this recently. Raggedy Ann Stories to Read Aloud. And of course it's a paperback. So I've already started cutting some of the pictures out. They're monochromatic pictures, but they come in blue, green, yellow. I don't think there's red. So, and there's black and white ones too. And maybe I can use some of the text. I got a digital set from Mrs. Cog's Crafts, and these are Raggedy Ann digitals that she did in journal page form. Aren't they cute? So it's images from the book illustrations, but she added other backgrounds and flowers, and they're really nice. Some words. It says friendship there. And I didn't really count the pages. I love this one with the daisies. And I also got a set of digital paper dolls from Past Paper Pretties. And I will link both of these kits below. So I printed the page that has the paper dolls on it twice. So each journal will have a set of paper dolls, but I'll just split the clothes up between the two. So some of these fun images were on the paper doll page itself. So there's all kinds of little words and images that can go along, just embellish the pages. Like on these paper doll clothes, they each have a picture of Marcella and Raggedy Ann and Raggedy Andy and some other characters. How fun, along with the clothing. So here's the page of paper dolls with all these little extras. So I started cutting them out last night. I think that these tags came with the Mrs. Cog's. Yeah, they did. Mrs. Cog's kit comes with some tags. And postcards. I also have this shape book. I can use the pages. And I got these placemats at the flea market. So I can cut these. I can cut one down to size and use it as a page and use the images for other things. So I have several placemats here. I pulled some scrapbook paper that I can use. And I have this rubber stamp, really sweet, and this flannel. I got this at an estate sale earlier this year, and I sold some of it, but I kept some for myself to use for these journals. Very soft flannel. So these are the images that I cut from that book. And I have some yo-yos, fabric yo-yos. I have some rickrack. I pulled some fabric strips and shapes that I'm going to need to fix this cover up, fix up some of these spots. One thing I didn't get out were the corners that I could use. This is a kind of a thick book cover, so I hope I have book corners that I can use to correct that. Also, I have all of these pages and illustrations that I can use. It came out of this book. But for now, what we need are the pieces to make the cover. I cut a piece of chipboard. Now, a lot of times I don't cut my chipboard until I know how big my book block is going to be, how much I embellish it and stuff it. But most of my covers are about 2 inches, so I'm just going to go with that. So I cut my chipboard 2 inches. Now this happens to be the back of a tablet. You can see. It was a very, very sturdy tablet. So if they're sturdy like that, I save them. That's what I got that from. But I wanted to show you that I also have just sheets of chipboard that I buy from Amazon. I bought 2 by mistake, 2 packs. And it's 20 sheets in the pack. And it's 50 point. I don't really know what that means, but that's the weight of my chipboard. I will link this below because I wasn't sure what weight of chipboard when I went to buy some. I didn't know what weight I needed, but trying to read the reviews and studying all the listings, I went with this one and it works out great. So I will link that below for you. Also, I use Tyvek to reinforce. You can get Tyvek in envelope form. For a while, that was the only way I knew you could get it. This is an envelope that I got in a Happy Mail. Someone sent that to me. So I can cut that up and use it. But I'm almost out of the envelopes. So I bought some sheets of it from Amazon. And I think I got some sheets of it in a Happy Mail too recently. But I can link this below too. So it's just 11.5 by 8-inch Tyvek sheets, and it's like paper, but it's plastic, so you can't tear it. So it's great for reinforcing the spines. And I might as well leave that out. You will see how I use that. All right, so I just wanted you to see supplies that I get from Amazon, and I will link them below. So I'm going to take this off because I need to see my grid. So I cut my chipboard 2 inches wide and the height of my book. I'm going to use my red tape, and I get that at the craft stores. I think I actually got this one from Amazon. It's a 1/4 inch. You can get it in 1/8 inch and wider, but I use 1/4 inch. And this is what it looks like when it comes from Hobby Lobby. It's about $3 and it's 5 yards. This one is 6 yards from Amazon. But you can get it from Joann's and Michael's also. And so the packaging looks different. Some of them come on a bigger circle like this, but it's usually the same yardage. These are both 1/4 inch, or 1/8 inch, I'm sorry, but you can get the 1/2 inch on a spool like that too. So, but they're all very strong tapes. So before I put the tape on, I'm going to cut my Tyvek. So I just kind of casually line them up. I'm not being precise right now. I just want to get an idea of where to cut my Tyvek. You can cut Tyvek. You can't tear it, but you can cut it. So make it about that wide. I guess I should mark this way too. I could just cut it with my scissors because it doesn't really matter if it's straight, because it's going to all be covered, but it's easy to just cut it with my paper trimmer. And now I will add my tape. So I just take my red line tape. And you don't have to use this. I think the Fabri-Tac glue would be enough. It's a good strong glue. But before I ever knew about Fabri-Tac, this is how I made them. And I just keep doing what I'm comfortable with. I'm comfortable with this heavy duty tape. I like it. There's also that tape that comes on the white paper backing that you can actually tear. You don't have to cut it. I forgot what it's called, but that's very strong tape also. So I put it along the edge of both book covers, and I put it along all 4 edges of the spine piece. Going to burnish it down so that when I pull the backing up, the tape is stuck down real good. Especially on the chipboard piece. The chipboard wants to peel up in layers, so if the tape part isn't really adhered down, you can try to lift the backing up, and you might be pulling up the tape along with a layer of the chipboard too. This is coming up very nicely. Now, this is where my grid comes in. I'm going to just use the lines of my grid to line up the book cover. So I have the bottom along one of the lines and the end edge of the book cover along another line. You have to be careful because that is very sticky there, and you get your finger on it and then you move it and it moves the book cover. I do that very often. And then leave a little space in between the cover and the spine. And then again, in here we're just using the bottom to line up. Okay, so they're straight across on the line, and this is lined up with that line, and then these pieces are lined up with that. So I have my Tyvek piece. I'm going to carefully lay it down. I say carefully because I could, you know, in laying it down and then picking my hands up, I could shift one of these pieces. So I'm just going to carefully lay it down on top and then just press it down. It wasn't quite long enough, but that's okay. It doesn't need to go to the end because we're going to wrap some fabric around it and it's all going to be covered. But this is enough to reinforce that spine. And it doesn't matter that there's more on this side than on this side because it will all be covered. Even if the fabric that I use covers up this side, but not all of this because it's wider over here, I'm going to put paper on top so it will be covered. Alright, so there we go. We have a book spine. But now we have to make it look pretty. I pulled this patchwork piece. These were two separate pieces, but it wasn't quite long enough to wrap around, so I sewed two of them together. And all I want to do, normally I would take a piece of fabric and cut one that's long enough to go wrap all the way around like that, and it would overlap. But I don't want to waste this vintage patchwork by having it underneath the signature. So I just wanted it to be long enough to wrap around the outside of the spine and then fold under a little bit. Well, this is wider than I need, so I'm going to cut it. So here is the center of the block, and I'm going to cut that. I'm going to cut it in the center, and then I might cut some more off of here. Hard to cut where all those pieces join together. Okay. Normally I just use, a piece of fabric. I don't have patchwork to deal with, but I don't want to cover up her name. There's enough space between her name and the book spine, so I just want to make sure that I'm not going to go over her name. And that looks like it's about even on both sides. Okay, so I like the colors of this piece the best, so I'm going to put that as the predominant one, and then it'll have a little bit of that one at the top. Just want to make sure I can comfortably wrap it around. And I can save this piece for another project, or maybe even use it inside this journal. Okay, so I'm going to take my Fabri-Tac glue and glue it. So I'm going to put my mat back down. I don't want to get glue all over my cutting mat, the craft mat. Wasn't going to put it on the very end yet. Just let that glue down. Maybe that'll help it lay. It's kind of bulky right there. Going to trim away some of that. If you're not using patchwork, you don't have to worry about all that stuff. But since Raggedy Ann is a rag doll, I thought the patchwork look would be great. I'm not going all the way to the end because that part's going to wrap around. The stitches that hold the signature into the spine will also help hold this piece in place. I think I'm going to risk getting glue on my scissors and cut off that little extra bit right there too. Alright, let's just lay this down. This covers up a good portion of that part of the book where the fabric is, or the paper is torn off. Now I will glue these parts down. Well, I have it way over on the front cover, or the back cover. That's okay. I'm going to leave it that way. Because if I shift it, it's going to leave glue marks. And I'm not that worried about it. Okay, I got a piece of yellow fabric that I can finish this off with. And I usually just tear. If it's a tearable fabric, that's what I do. And if there's frayed edges because of tearing it, it's either covered with a trim, like a rickrack or a lace, or paper. So I'm just going to make it the same width as this quilt piece. I tore off that edge just because it was folded. It was a little fold really close to the edge, so it would have been difficult to glue it down, I think. I'm all for making things easy. I'm just going to fold these raw edges over a little bit. Again, this is not something I normally have to worry about because I usually just do one long strip. But sometimes I choose a fabric, even if it's not a quilted fabric, it's just a cotton fabric and it's perfect and it might not be quite long enough. So I do it this way. Make sure that I'm doing this properly. Okay. Didn't want to make it too short. Again, the stitching will be going through this fabric when I sew the pages into the signature, into the cover, sorry. I am all covered in goop. The threads stick to my fingers. We're going to put some rickrack on these raw edges. I got out yellow, blue, or yellow, red, and white. Don't think I want the yellow because the cover is yellow. The red looks nice, but I like this wide. Let's see how this white looks. I think I like the white. Before I glue the rickrack down, you can see that this is not going to entirely disguise the portion that the paper came off the book. So here's where I'm going to use some of the little fabric pieces that I got out. So I'm going to do that before I add to the rickrack. I'm going to make sure that this book is clean. Should have done that before I glued any fabric down to it or anything, but I think I had wiped it down before, and these are just stains. Yeah, this stuff is not coming off. So now we just have to decide what fabrics we will put where. This is all yellow and red back here. I have this red piece that I could just put there. And maybe fabric strip down here. Let's see. I'll have that much of the patchwork there too. There's a dig in the cover here. I don't worry about imperfections on vintage book covers because that's what happens when you use vintage book covers for your journals. But some of them are just so obvious that I want to cover them. Like there's a pencil mark right here, which, you know, it could be alright, but maybe I want to cover it. I'm going to go grab my book corners so I just see how everything looks together. I'll be right back. I think because these covers are thick, I don't know if this one will work. Yeah, it's a little bit tight for that, but these might work better. So maybe the copper. got to be careful with these because some of them look like the same color, but they have an antique finish to them. So I get out a bunch of them and then pick out 4 that look the same. But they're so close, it's hard to tell the difference, so it's not that big a deal. There's also this brass finish. Maybe that would look better on the yellow cover. That one looks a little shinier. Maybe we'll use the brass. I don't want to put it on yet though because I have to put a paper on that side. But we can at least see where these will be and how the fabrics will play off of them. The front corners are really shabby. Okay. Maybe I'll just put a little yo-yo over here somewhere. There's a worn spot right there. And here, there's a dig on both parts of the front and the back. So I could take a fabric strip and kind of wrap it around maybe. Maybe this pretty blue. Or that one. That one's cute too. I should cut a heart shape out of fabric for, because she has a heart, a candy heart inside her cotton stuffed body. There's a mark right there. I'm going to start gluing things down because it's just hard to tell. I'm trying to hold things in place. I don't want just 3 random things stuck on there. So I'm going to glue them down and then see what I need to do to make them feel connected to something. It's sticking to me. I can't really tell if it's on straight until I actually see it like that. Alright, I'm going to glue the heart down. Sorry if I bumped the camera. And again, I'm sorry. Just bumping the camera. I think maybe I should put the paper down, because this would have looked nice wrapped around the paper. So, I didn't pick out a paper. I just want to use one of these that I have pulled. I could use a page from the book. It could just be that, the introduction page. Let's see. How big are we going to make this? Let's say 5 1/4 by 9. I think that's just about right there. I think that would be cute there. I'll use this bottle, it's got more in it. I want to make sure I do the inside before I run out of time, because the decoration of the outside is just a bonus. I don't normally do all of that. Sometimes I do, and I think it's fun to do that. It's a fun challenge to have imperfections on the cover that you want to disguise, especially with a fun journal like this, where you can just really play. Now, if I want to, I could add some rickrack to that edge, which I might do. But let's find... There's a black mark showing through there, but I think we can make the paper cover that. I think it was just a black mark on the inside of the cover. That must be the French doll. Babette. Yeah, that'll cover up that black mark. So I guess I don't need these. Sorry, there's a little bug crawling on my table. coming together. I think I like this red better. It's a more bright red. These are vintage rickrack that I find at the flea market. I have noticed that I haven't found as much trim at the flea market in the last year. Haven't found much this year. Except for last year on Labor Day, I got a big box. Well, not a big box, but I got a lot of lace on Labor Day. But up until then, I hadn't gotten much. And I used to find it pretty frequently. Not that I need more. I don't know if you can hear my fan blowing in here, but I turned it on just before I started the video, and then I just realized that it's not oscillating and I can't feel it at all. Why isn't it oscillating? There we go. Now I'll be able to feel it. That's better. Then I add things, a pocket maybe, and a label to write your name to the inside covers. I'm not going to do that today on this video, because basically I wanted you to see how I construct the spine itself, but now we're just doing the cosmetic stuff, which is the fun part. Okay. Ooh, I'm almost out of time. Let's see, if I put that there, I wanted to use a yo-yo, and there's a spot there that I can cover. But now I have a yo-yo, a heart, and a strip of fabric, and they are all separate from each other. So I need to build on something. Maybe make this a little skinnier, just so it's connected to something. I love this bright piece here. And I think the heart is okay by itself because it's just on her dress. It becomes a part of her. When I'm making this video, it's Saturday. And Saturday is supposed to be creative play day, and I did do some. Played around with some watercolor. I didn't want to do it on camera, and I played with some alcohol inks. And then I just decided to fulfill someone's request to show the spine construction. So, getting a little bit of work done for next week's journal project. I didn't have to cover that faded spot there. It's fine. But I wanted to add a yo-yo, so that was a good place to put it. Okay, that looks pretty good. Alright, I'm running out of time here, so you know I'm just going to glue that rickrack on there, and then I'm just going to probably leave that little dig right there, unless I can just put this on and wrap it around. I don't know if that looks funny. No, I think that'll be alright. I can put that on, add the rickrack, and then I'll do my corners, and I already did the rickrack in there, so that pretty much is the construction and decoration of the cover. I hope you found it useful. If you have any questions, just go ahead and ask me in the description box below. And I think this is a good start to our Raggedy Ann journal. Thanks for watching, everybody, and I hope you're having a creative day today. Bye-bye.